Hey everybody, Stu here. Today I want to go over the best advice and mechanics to playing fast. And what we're going to be looking at here is, in regards to playing fast, is the mechanics of what's actually going on in your picking hand. Now, when it comes to playing fast, this is often something that people overlook and they really struggle with when it comes to playing at very fast tempos. So today we're not going to be looking at the fingering hand. I've already done Road Less Tots about that and how to strengthen up dexterity in your fingers and all that other stuff, and you can find a million videos on YouTube talking about that. And that is really just take it slow, it's going to come, and all that stuff. So there's really nothing here. But when it comes to your picking hand, we're going to take a closer look at this. And the riff that I want to kind of center this all around is a very famous riff from Metallica. It's off of Master of Puppets. It's called Battery, and the main riff from Battery. I'm sure you've heard it a million times, and there's a reason why I want to talk about that song in particular. Now, getting back to the picking hand. Playing fast, it's all in the wrist, but it includes the entire arm. And the best advice that I can give somebody who's trying to play fast, but the articulation isn't there, and more importantly, the accuracy isn't there, is to relax. And I'm sure you've probably heard that a couple of times. This isn't a flexing. You know, we're not Arnold Schwarzenegger here. We're not putting on a flexing show. You start doing that and you're gonna give yourself jitters. You're not gonna be accurate. Your picking strokes are going to be uneven as all hell. And I'm sure you've seen a couple of the guys doing that. Sounds like straight garbage. So, how do we combat that? Well, how we combat that is relaxing the arm and trusting the wrist to get nice. All in the wrist to a point. And here's where the mechanics of your arm and what's going on with it come in handy. To a point, you can sit here with the rest of your arm completely relaxed and rely on just the wrist. But you're going to hit a speed where you're going to be using so much force, you're going to need to stop your hand from jumping to another string. I mean, what if you're trying to play something fast that, you know, like an old 80s thrash, and you're sitting there. So what do you do then to prevent the speed and the force of your hand from jumping and hitting the low E or hitting the D string and stuff? That is where you're going to put a little tense in your muscles, or you're going to tense up the muscles of your elbow a little bit in this region, just a little bit. You don't need to flex. If your bicep starts moving, too much. You need a little tension here, and think of this as kind of like the anchor point for the rest of your arm. It's like an actuating arm on like a hard drive or something, you know? And it's a 2-point actuating arm where your elbow is kind of going to place the rest of your arm, and the wrist takes over for the actual speed. And so not only are we placing it, we're also trying to help the wrist stay. So when it comes to the song Battery, we're dealing with a lot of very fast triplets here. So, trying to keep this all under control. So, and what's going on there? You got to tense up a little bit here. Kind of get everything going. You know, I'm not doing this. No, my whole arm isn't going here. You know, it's just a little bit to kind of help keep the wrist from just flying off. When you get up to speed, you get up to very fast speeds here. Like if you're just doing straight. to tense up the elbow a little bit just to kind of keep your arm into place. And that is what's really going to help when you're playing to speed on single notes. When you start getting into arpeggiated stuff, things kind of get a little different, but this is more of a shredder standpoint, 3 notes per string, all that stuff where you're trying to shred up and down the neck. This is really what this is kind of focused on. So if you're struggling with battery, this is exactly what you need to focus on. Relax a little bit. The only thing that should really be tensing up in your arm is right here. Also stretch out your shoulder, stretch out your forearms, make sure you're good and stretched out and loose. Don't do what I just did today, pick up the guitar, turn on the camera, and start trying to play this stuff, because this is going to suck in a little bit here once everything starts to tighten up. So you want to anchor here, good anchor point on your guitar, and you can see where I like to rest my arm. That is probably the best advice I can give to somebody who wants to play fast and they're looking to play fast, and they can kind of get there, but right when they try to play it at full speed, or right when they try to tie it up, like they can sit there and do the... They could sit there and they could do it, and they can play it slow, and they can even do it a little faster, like... They can do it, but right when they want to kick it in and they really want to do the... It falls apart. That's probably the best advice I can give. And now this gives you a goal. Now you know what the end result is and know what to shoot for, instead of kind of aimlessly going along or spending, a solid 6 months building up your speed, but you're doing it the wrong way now, and now your whole arm's tested up, and now you're going to get on stage in front of people and you're going to pull this crap. Really. And people are just gonna be laughing at you in the stands. I've seen it a million times. I'm not, well, yeah, I am exaggerating that, but I'm not lying when I've said I've seen it a lot over the years. They have such a lack of control of the hand, and at that point, does it really matter what your fingers are doing? Not really. I mean, because you do not have the control of your picking hand, which is why it is so important to sit down and focus up. Give yourself a little bit of tension here to help stabilize the wrist, and just let the wrist take over. And then you can play as fast as you can and still have some sort of clarity. That's what you want. You want the control, you want the articulation, you want your strokes to be fairly even at speed. You don't want to be accidentally hitting other strings and other notes that you're not meant to hit, because when you get into speed and you get into playing more technically advanced metal songs, progressive songs, songs that have single notes but then a quick little brr, brr in there, you're going to need to jump back and forth. You're going to need to play arpeggiated notes where it's just your wrist, and then quickly tense up this area real quick for the quick little brr, brr, and then back into, whatever you're playing. But here's what I don't want to have happen. I don't want people making bullshit comments on here going, well, I already knew that. And then, if you already knew that, then shut the fuck up. Then just shut the fuck up. Not every video is going to help every single person out there. But I'm trying. I always get asked, how do you play fast? So here's how you play fast. Here is a mechanic to help you, to give you something to aim at and shoot at. There is no magic pill. There is no magic technique. You just have to sit down, you have to practice. But if you don't know what you're practicing towards, you're lost. And you're kind of aimlessly going through like I did back in the day. If you don't have a teacher and you're not taking lessons and you don't even know what you're aiming at, you're going to do what I did in the 90s, which is just kind of, you know, where am I going? And then by the time you finally figure it out, you've wasted so much extra time. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. But let me know if this works for you. Let me know if that helped you play battery, that helped you with whatever song you've been working on, that once you got to tempo, it kind of fell apart. And just let me know if after working on it for, you know, a few weeks, if that does help, if you've noticed a little bit of improvement. So that's it for me. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.